Happy Memorial Day weekend, house hunters. Libby Ramacha, your Erie Realtor, coming to you today with our Real Estate Real Talk. So we're going to jump right in today and talk about what constitutes a legally binding agreement of sale or contract on a home. So let's say you're a buyer and you're interested in looking at homes, and you find one you like and you say, hey, I want to put an offer on this. Oftentimes I get asked a lot by buyers, can we just submit a verbal offer to the seller and see how they receive it? Generally speaking, my answer to that is not the best idea to do that. Now, granted, there may be situations, very specific situations where it might be appropriate to run a verbal offer by a seller, but I would say 90% of the time, if you're ready to purchase a home and you want to do that and take the next steps, we really do need to put that in writing, okay? In real estate, nothing, I don't care, the agreement of sale, any addenda, anything else to help facilitate things moving through the sale, everything needs to be in writing. Everything needs to be executed by both the buyer and the seller. Now, as a buyer looking at a particular property, wanting to purchase it, the best thing that you can do to let the seller know that you are not only interested, but that you are a ready, willing, and able buyer is to put that offer, that contract in writing. Again, it takes it up a step further. It lets the sellers know that you are serious and you are 100% interested in purchasing the property. I mentioned again before, giving a verbal offer, even if the seller says, yes, I like that, go ahead and take it. It is not legally binding until it is put in writing and signed in all the appropriate spots by both the buyer and the seller. So there's risk though, there's risk involved that I want you guys to understand by just trying to give a verbal offer and not putting it into writing, especially if it's a pretty popular property and there may be a chance of other people bidding on that. If you're wasting time or not really fully committing yourself by not putting it in writing, you do run the risk of somebody else coming along, putting their offer in writing and having that signed by the seller, and you don't have a house to show for it. Even if, and I know, and I'm sure agents, if you're watching this, I'm sure you've been in a situation before where you have maybe been verbally negotiating with the seller and someone else comes in, puts an offer in, and the seller goes, oh, hey, guess what? I like this offer better. These people committed to putting it in writing. We're going to take that. And your clients are not better off for it. They don't have a house to show for it. So everything in writing, everything executed by the buyer and the seller. Now, to piggyback off of that really quickly here, please understand, as a buyer, once you do put something in writing, it officially becomes legally binding. So not only when you're interested in putting an offer, should you be understanding or being explained the full terms of your agreement, you need to make sure that you understand what you're signing, what you're putting on that paper when you put pen to paper. Because if you submit an offer and the seller decides to execute it as you wrote it, you're on the hook for a house as it's written. So make sure before you do that, before you sign the paper, before you click for an electronic signature, that you are fully understanding the terms that are showing up on this offer. Because once it's executed, any changes to that contract need to be agreed upon by both parties. And if the seller wasn't okay with something that you wanted to change, you're technically in default. So understand what you're signing. Make sure you're 100% serious that you want to do whatever it is that you're doing. What you want to offer, do you want to include escalation clauses? Make sure that everything that you want in this offer is fully mapped out and written out to be executed by both parties, or you are not necessarily guaranteed that protection of whatever it is that you may have wanted. All right, guys, I hope you enjoy this weekend. I want to take a moment to thank all of our veterans and active duty service members, past, present, and future, but mostly want to thank those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. So while you are enjoying your barbecues and hopefully some decent weather and friends and family, let's not forget what the real reason for this weekend is. All right, guys, I hope you all have a great time. And as always, if you have any questions, just reach out.